My name's Grant Courtney, and I'm the Falsified Medicines Director Project Manager. So that's all about anti-counterfeiting in Europe and complying with European legislation that's in place by 2019.
Okay. Just real quick, because you just came out of a workshop.
Sure.
What's your takeaway from that workshop?
It was interesting, actually. We were in a workshop looking at humanitarian supply. So really getting GSK products and pharmaceuticals and vaccines into the field when there's urgent medical instances. Quite often that'll be vaccines or antibiotics. And what are the challenges to running supply chains in that type of environment? And we were looking at the temporary nature of those supply chains and also how rapidly they need to be set up. And in turn, what does that really mean for the standards themselves? There was also a great cry for GS1 standards and barcodes to be added to products so that when these occurrences happen, people can actually use the barcodes and use the data. A lot of the challenges there are that ultimately you need to make this product available very rapidly, and you need to keep track of it, and you need to know whereabouts it is. Just like you do with a normal supply chain, but I guess it's really heightened in those circumstances. And they were talking about some of the chaos, might be too strong a word, but some of the challenges of supply that occurs with something like Ebola and things like that. So a really, really fascinating area of using the standards.
And so, and you're also going to be speaking. We're going to run this afterward, but what is your message to the healthcare plenary? That's a very important plenary for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think the interesting thing, the journey that GS1 has been on over the last sort of 8 or 9 years with healthcare has initially been around defining the standards, so getting them set up and making them available. But now we've moved to, through education and awareness, and really now supporting the implementation of them. And that's where we are on that healthcare journey. And what we need to do is we need to work with healthcare providers and manufacturers and the whole supply chain, really to get them to adopt. Because it's only with adoption that you really drive the benefits out. And as we adopt, the more we adopt, the more benefits we see. I think it's interesting when you look at retail. Since 1974, they've been deploying these standards and gradually their supply chains have become more efficient. They've saved money through that. And we'll do the same in healthcare. But what's really fascinating is that there's then the patient safety benefits. So you've got, okay, so you can run a supply chain, you can run it efficiently, you can manage your inventory, you can reduce the costs, and that's important to healthcare globally. But then you can actually know what's been injected into somebody's arm, and you can check that it's the right product, it's in date, it's not counterfeit. So that's really exciting. Then you start to drive through those patient benefits. And now, even more so, we're starting to see that surgeons are able to use the GS1 standards and the data that that generates to actually look at clinical outcomes, which is something I don't think we could have thought about 10 years ago. So we can go so much further, perhaps within healthcare, than you can within some of the traditional areas that GS1 standards have been used for.
Okay. And have you been to other GS1 Global Forums before?
Yes,
so
actually.
This is the first one here. How is it to be at this one?
Well, so far it's been great. It's a fantastic facility to have it all in under one roof, I think. The rooms have been really good so far. I've only turned up about an hour and a half ago, so I've been to a few of the plenaries, but I'm really looking forward to some of the events. And as I say, all being under one roof is going to be great. Yeah, it's about my third or fourth. I come here because it's sort of like a shot of adrenaline, or for me, it sees me through the year in many respects. You know, I attend the GS1 Global conferences for healthcare, and there's 2 of those a year. But that's very healthcare focused. And when you come here, you can actually get a little bit of a sense of what's going on in retail, in logistics, in healthcare. And that's really quite interesting because I like the cross-fertilisation of ideas, because ultimately healthcare isn't just about hospitals and things like that. You know, you've got online, you've got prescription, you've got the whole digital and e-tools and all that type of stuff. So what you see in other industries will come into healthcare. So for me, it's really interesting to get that mix of ideas and cross-fertilisation.
And one other thing, just to have it, because we were talking about earlier, this idea of a network. The GS1 is a network on the ground for many things, including for public policy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the most amazing things about GS1 is the people. And the fact that you have these member organisations, so you have people on the ground in every country, and I can't stress how incredible that is. So as a global manufacturer, we supply billions of packs to hundreds of countries all around the world. And there's no way that my organisation can know what's going on with standards, traceability, anti-counterfeiting, patient safety, product coding in every single country. We're just not able to do that. But what we have within GS1 is this incredible network. And they collaborate in healthcare under our public policy groups. And there isn't a better place to go to really know what's going on. I call it my radar. You know, you can see what's coming on in the next couple of years, but actually within those forums you can also really understand the detail of the legislation that's being passed. You have the opportunity also to reach out to those regulators and educate them about the standards and the benefits. And once again, there aren't too many organisations which you can get that close to the regulators, because GS1 is neutral, and that's so important. So what you really have there is people on the ground, a fantastic network, and the collaboration through the public policy groups. It really does mean that we're driving standards into the countries. The other thing there is that if we don't use standards, then it slows adoption. Our company can't work with every single regulator if they all want something a little bit different. When they start to agree on the things that they want, then it's easier for us to comply. It means that we can do things faster, and ultimately that's going to benefit patients, of course, because they're going to get the standards and we can deliver those patients. So yeah, that public policy work is so vital, so vital.